What a sensational day for the Arizona Cardinals and a brutal day for the Las Vegas Raiders. The Arizona Cardinals and Steve Schein just completed this trade. Rodney Hudson is one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, a superb center. It's an area of need for Arizona. What the heck are the Raiders doing? I feel terrible for Derek Carr. This offensive line used to be the best in the business. They're getting rid of everyone. They get rid of Hudson, makes no sense. They bring in John Brown. Okay, I like John Brown, and I like Yannick Ngakoue. We raved about that, and I think that he's a tremendous pass rusher, but John Brown, there's a reason why Buffalo let him go, and honestly, it hits home how Henry Ruggs was a disaster of a draft pick, and A.J. Green is joining the Arizona Cardinals. It's a one-year deal, and I'm obsessed with it. Listen, he's a future Hall of Famer. He still has a lot of gas left in the tank. This deal hits home. What an unbelievable trade it was, an unbelievable day for Arizona. They get Rodney Hudson and A.J. Green. Mike Mayock, John Gruden, what they're doing in Vegas, this is amateur hour. I feel terrible for Raider Nation. I am obsessed with what the Patriots are doing in free agency. Now, you look at New England, I love what Bill Belichick is doing. This is not a drunken sailor approach. This is Bill looking at a barren roster that was atrocious last year, and we told you it was one of the worst rosters in the league. They only won 7 because Belichick is the greatest coach in the history of sports, and he said, we need new cats. We need dudes. And I love what they did with Jonnu Smith and love what they did with Matthew Judon. I love what they did at the receiver position. Love what they did on the defensive line. Jalen Mills is a smart and versatile DB. What they did with Hunter Henry was next level. Jonnu Smith, they can line him up outside. Hunter Henry, my goodness, that was the move of all moves. I mean, this guy is a willing blocker. He's amazing in the red zone. You see the C on his chest. So well respected from his time with the LA Chargers. That was amazing. Now, I want to see them improve the quarterback position. I want to see them bring in Jimmy Garoppolo. I despise the re-upping of Cam Newton because he is shot, but I love what Belichick has done. Patriots are back. You know, it could be Cam Newton, it could be Jarrett Stidham. They're going to win a minimum of 10 games because of Belichick's coaching. And this is not like, you know, the old Redskins used to just spend haphazardly. These are smart moves, calculated moves. They haven't had a tight end since Gronk left. I love what Bill Belichick has done. This is genius here by the New England Patriots. When the news broke, I laughed and I laughed and I laughed some more. The Bears signed Andy Dalton to be their starting quarterback. Andy Dalton! Bears fans have rightly been dreaming of the very available Russell Wilson, who wanted to be in Chicago, and management hands them a human punchline. That is Andy Dalton. And forever on Time to Shine, we have highlighted this, that Andy Dalton is dreadful. When the sun goes down, hide your eyes. Chicago, Illinois is market number 3. The Bears are ultra popular. Chicago always gets 5 primetime games at least. Imagine the Bears going into Lambeau Field on a Sunday night with Andy Dalton. I can't stop laughing. Ryan Pace is the worst. And that's a general statement about the Bears general manager, but specifically when it comes to the quarterback position. This is the same guy who signed the immortal Mike Glennon to a 3-year deal for $45 million in 2017. Then a month later, traded from 3 to 2 in the draft to get Mitch Trubisky. Oh, he picked Trubisky over Watson, and Mahomes is going to go down in history as an all-time mistake. And then last offseason, they refused to stop the bleeding with Mitch. They made it worse. They brought in Nick Foles, even though Nicky Foles was coming off of a predictable disaster in Jacksonville, where he was terrible and won 0 games. Pace traded a 4th-round pick for Nicky Foles and gave Foles gobs of cash. It was illogical. Heck, as you know, I argued last offseason the Bears should have signed Andy Dalton over Nick Foles. Imagine that. Could have had him much cheaper. Reunited him with his old offensive coordinator from Cincinnati, Bill Lazor, and Foles wouldn't be hanging over your head right now. And isn't that kind of the fear right now with Dalton? See, this is not an Andy Dalton topic. Andy Dalton was once a really good player in Cincinnati for a long period of time. Andy Dalton is pretty solid. Allen Robinson is a star. The Bears and Andy Dalton can win 8-9 games, make the playoffs, get bounced instantly, and thus save Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace's job again. This is the worst possible Groundhog's Day ever. It's unacceptable garbage. The Bears have been searching for a star quarterback for decades. And how about today? Our friend, the great Dan Patrick, reported on his radio show that the Bears offered 3 firsts, a third, and 2 starters to Seattle. Of course Seattle said no. That's not close to being enough. You needed to make Seattle say yes. You needed to find a way to give the Seahawks their 2021 quarterback and be in position for next season and beyond. Because remember, if the Seahawks trade Russ right now, they can't bottom out because the Jets have their first-round pick in 2022 because of the Jamal Adams deal, which is why, at the end of the day, stockpiling picks this year was the key to achieving that. And you saw Russ's workout video tweet after the Dalton move. Make no mistake, we've said it on time to Schein, because we know he wanted Chicago. Chicago wanted him. Russ still wants out. This is still a very fluid situation. Seattle still wants him out. But the Seahawks and Pete Carroll are going to do it on their terms. I still think there's a very realistic chance that he gets traded. And Russ at his age are going to have to expand the original 4 list. I mean, think of other teams that could use Russell Wilson. Think Miami or think Carolina. And going back to that original list, never rule out the New Orleans Saints. And wouldn't that be something? Wilson gets his wish and gets traded elsewhere. And Andy Dalton of the Chicago Bears are all over your TV. This is barely about Andy Dalton. It's about what could have been, what should have been, and Ryan Pace's destruction of the Chicago Bears. It's worth going back to that soundbite from last week because someone needs to tell David Culley there's a better chance that his week 1 starting quarterback is Tyrod Taylor than Deshaun Watson. And understand, I like Tyrod Taylor. I've always liked Tyrod Taylor a lot. That has been well documented. I loved him in Buffalo when he was really good and won a lot of games. And he got the short end of the stick in Cleveland. And then, of course, what happened with the Chargers. But Tyrod is a solid stopgap. He could lead. He could play. And with the Texans, he's reunited with QB guru Pep Hamilton from the Chargers staff. Taylor is worth a 1-year deal for $12.5 million on many levels. He's the insurance for Watson. If the Texans don't trade him and tell Deshaun they refuse to do so, Taylor starts, Watson holds out, doesn't get paid. Tyrod Taylor means they can call the bluff if they choose to and maybe force Watson to play for him. But they shouldn't go in that direction. Honestly, it's over. It's been over. Jack Easterby, Cal McNair created a situation that's a point of no return. Now, at the end of the day, they don't necessarily, with Taylor, and this is part of it, have to get their 2021 starter in return. They can get picks upon picks upon picks upon players. You know, they can make a trade and draft someone like Trey Lance or Justin Fields who need a year to sit before becoming a great quarterback. Mike Lombardi over at The Athletic reported that Watson wants Denver or San Francisco. The Niners would win the Super Bowl with Deshaun Watson. I think Carolina wouldn't stop with an offer until they got Deshaun, and that would be a great situation, and never rule out the Miami Dolphins. But Tyrod Taylor was a smart play for Houston, assuming they actually know how to play it.